In order to understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do
something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
I want you to imagine an empty room. No one's there, no one's watching you. You're in the middle of nowhere, just an empty black room with one thing in front of you, a button. What this button will do is, among pressing it, will kill one random person in the world. The rule to this is it cannot kill you or anyone you know or love. Completely random person. So you might be thinking, who on earth would press this button? Why would I just randomly kill somebody? I mean, there's probably some psychopaths out there that would press the button just for the shits and giggles. But I'm willing to bet I can get quite a lot of you to press this button among telling you this piece of information. When you press the button, it will still kill that random person. But now, it would also automatically make you the richest person to ever live. Now, I got you think about it, huh? Mind you, nobody knows about this. It would just taunt you and you alone. Nobody could ever find out that you're responsible. You're safe. So obviously my question is are you pressing that button? Now, you don't gotta answer now. I'll let you think about it throughout the rest of this video. Whatever answer you come to, make sure it's an honest answer. And honestly, the only person that will know if it's an honest answer or not is you. So I just want y'all to ponder on that. And now that we got that out of the way, we can talk about slavery.
Today's subject, slavery.
Now you might be thinking, Mark, what are we doing here? Why are we talking about slavery? What does slavery have to do with any of this? And what I say to that is sit your ass down, shut up, and take this information as I present it to you. Now, in all seriousness, there is a reason I do want to talk about this, and there is a reason why it does relate to the title of this video and to the question that I asked you in the intro of this video. And in fact, it's because I was thinking about slavery was the reason for the existence of this video. Because it's one thing to understand what happened, the African slave trade, colonization. It's one thing to understand what happened, but in the history behind slavery and the terrible, atrocious things committed. And I find myself thinking about that, but more so, how? Like, how could average, everyday people commit such atrocities? Like, you have to know what you're doing is disgusting, but yet you continue to do it time and time again. And in fact, you continue to justify it time and time again. And it takes you over, 300 years to say, hey, maybe this whole slavery thing's a little morally dubious. In my struggle to understand any of that, I do want to say that nobody has all the answers on how humans can do such terrible things. Sometimes answers just don't exist, and you have to make sense out of a confusing situation. But in my personal opinion, I think it has to do something with the human obsession with power. Now, sure, slaves are used to do the things that the slave owners didn't want to do. That's, a given. But, I mean, you don't want to work on your own farm so bad that you're going to commit one of the most disgusting and vile human things you could possibly do just to not have to do something that's a little tedious. Something about that just isn't enough of a justification for me. I mean, nothing is gonna justify it, but I mean, to a sane human being, how could that ever be justified? And again, I think it has something to do with power, because I don't think it's just that they needed someone to do the things they didn't want to do. That was part of it. But I think it had to do with the fact that they had power over slaves. And the more slaves you had, the more power you had, the more you were recognized. And I mean, I'm obviously using United States history of slavery in this example. Almost every race or every type of person ever has been enslaved throughout history. But I'm just using one of the most recent and notorious examples. But I think us humans sometimes grapple over things that make us feel more powerful than somebody else. And I think an easy scapegoat for all of those feelings of not feeling powerful back then was to own slaves. Think about it. Power, kind of a survival tactic if you go way back. Think about this, right? Most of the time, you would think that your own choices are sometimes the best choices, or at least you would rather have the ability to enact your choices rather than somebody else's. And when you're in a tribe back in the caveman times, and you weren't the leader, you lacked that power. So now you lack the ability of your own autonomy, and now you're taking somebody else's orders that you think would be. I feel like this is a basic survival tactic. We just want power, and slaves are just the modern way of achieving those power fantasies. You might be thinking, well, what about back on segregation? Why did white people just hate and despise black people so much? If it's just a power thing, why couldn't they just let it go when they knew the charade was over? And well, I think I have an answer to that actually, but I think I can make a better example of it in the next subject. Unfortunately, hate is a great motivator for a lot of people. And so you might be thinking, well, how? How do you get one group of people to despise another group of people so much to the point where they would commit atrocities against those other people? Well, welcome to Exhibit B, war. And you might be thinking that I'm talking about war, literally, and I am. But I'm also talking about a invisible war, a culture war, or a war on thoughts and opinions, war on free will or authoritarianism. But ultimately, how you get people to hate other people is with the war. Because in war, it is not a respectful debate or a slight disagreement between reasonable people. It's them versus us. Because the best way, and without a doubt, the best way to get other people motivated and as hateful as humanly possible toward other people is to create a them versus us mentality. And of course, you demonize the them. World War II, the Jewish, slavery, the wretched black people, or the illegal aliens that are crossing country borders and committing crimes, or the LGBTQ people trying to brainwash children, or even something as simple as the racist Republicans or the woke libs. Obviously, the latter half of those examples were more modern day examples, but it's showing you that there's wars going on, both literally and more of an invisible, metaphorical sense. And that's how it's always been. The rich and the poor. And when it's them, their name is almost always spoken as some sort of slur, even if it's not really. I mean, in the case of the N-word, it literally is. And it all serves to dehumanize anything other than you, or you're the one being dehumanized. And when you dehumanize and demonize any sort of outgroup of people, you can unfortunately motivate the in-group based off of sheer hatred and even fear. You can convince them to do things that maybe even they would think is too far. To just do nasty, horrible, wretched things to other human beings, because there becomes a point where they're not human beings. They're the enemy. They're the other. They're the thing that we must destroy, or they will destroy us. I feel like that thought process and that psychology can be applied to any physical war. I mean, think of war prisoners that were treated horrifically. And you think, how could anybody, even if they're on the opposite side of a war as you, how could you treat them so terribly? I mean, ultimately, the reality is they probably didn't want to fight this war. They probably got drafted just like anybody else. They don't want to be on that battlefield as much as you do. A lot of prisoners of war, unfortunately, are subjected to war crimes. And the people, I mean, I think ultimately we're all humans. I just think people forget that and are gaslit into not seeing them as humans. You know, obviously, it's the same mentality used with the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombings. It was, at least in the perspective of the United States, destroy or be destroyed. And then that thought process can domino so horrifically to lead humans that are just like you and I to end up on opposite sides of a conflict, to view each other so hatefully and so differently that we think it's justified to blow each other up over something that won't even matter the next 5 years. If there's one historical event that I think encapsulates literally everything that I just said, it would be the Salem witch trials. Now, admittedly, I don't know everything about the Salem witch trials, so I don't really have much ground to be talking about this. And my notes on Salem witch trials are a little thin, I'll admit that. But I do know a thing or two. I do know exactly how this whole witch paranoia thing kind of spread around. Even if I don't exactly know how, or the names involved, or like the specific schemes. Like, I know there was a scheme between the Parises and the Putnams. I do know that. And I think there was also some like sort of business slash money related side to it all. So some of those subjects are a little muddy, but I think for the most part, I have the whole witch part down. So basically, as far as I remember, the whole Salem witch thing started when these two girls are starting to act like all weird and shit. And basically they blamed the black servant slave that of bewitching them, and basically I forget how, but somehow it started to spread. All of a sudden everybody started to get accused of being a witch. And when you're accused of being a witch, you had two options. One, yes, I am a witch, and this you spend the rest of your life in jail. And I mean, you gotta remember, this is what, like 1700, something like that. The jail back then in today's standards would look like a gulag. Or you maintain your innocence and you get hung. Basically, if you get accused of being a witch during the Salem witch trials, you wasn't coming back from that. It was game over for you. There was barely any sort of court process. And the court process basically just amounted down to, you do some weird things, you must be a witch. You cheated on your husband, you a witch. Your kids keep annoying your neighbors, y'all are a witch. You're old and sick, it's because you a witch. Everybody's ass was getting accused of being a witch. And basically what it boiled down to is a bunch of religious extremists that was so devoted to their religion that while this may have started off without the intention of it spiraling as it did, there was definitely a segment of, I think it was either the Parises or the Putnams, I forget who, was really religiously strict and wanted to instill their religion more, wanted their religion to kind of grow more in the community. So what do? Well, you tell the people that already believe in the religion and believe in it strongly, and say, hey, all these other people, they witches. And all this, and here we go back to the whole dehumanizing them. And on top of dehumanizing them, what are they? They're a threat to you because they're a witch. They can come and bewitch you, bewitch your children, curse you. So now you have personal stake in trying to get these witches, because they can come after you, and you don't want that. You don't want to be cursed. But you know, funny story, you and your next door neighbor got into a little bit of an argument the other day. And, you know, you realized that they'd been kind of side-eyeing you conveniently around that same time, being a little secretive and chatty with the judges that are sentencing people to the gulags or hangings after being accused of being a witch. So you and your infinite wisdom think, oh, this guy is going to accuse me of being a witch and get me killed because we had a little disagreement. So even though he knows he's lying, he's going to take me out of the picture because of that disagreement. He's going to call me a witch. So what do you, in your infinite wisdom, do? You accuse them of being a witch first. Next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're being hanged during the public hanging event. But you know, they actually had quite a lot of friends, and they didn't think that they were witches, and they think maybe you were lying about it. So now they mad at you, and they accuse you of being a witch, and the next thing you know, you're the next person to get hanged. So basically, you can see how all of this spiraled out of control because a certain group of people were trying to instill their ideals and their way of life. And by doing that, they also wanted more power. Obviously, that's instilling your will, your beliefs, power above other people. Also, I know there's like a whole money thing behind it, or a property thing behind it. I don't know much about that. But you put fear into people, and you gain power because you're the savior, right? Just turn in the witches. Turn in the witches, and you'll be safe. Demonize the other. Create a war that doesn't exist. Empower the people with fear, but also the gratification of doing what they think is the right thing by killing these witches that are polluting, that are cursing their town, their friends, their children. Make them feel like a hero by taking these people out. These not even people. These horrible, wretched witches out. You are saving your family and your town. And that is how you power people to do things to such an extreme point to where they even start to act against their own interest and instill the idea that they're doing the right thing.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Back to the question from the start of the video. Did you all figure out your answers? I know it kind of seems like I rambled on about everything but how this ties in to the button. Anyway, I had my answer, and I was a little disappointed in myself. I remember thinking, I saw this question somewhere else. It isn't my original idea, but I can't remember where I saw it. The first thing I thought to myself was everything that I could do with that money. I mean, I could achieve my dreams, buy my dream house, my dream car, maybe, I don't know, break into Hollywood or something. That's about all my dreams. Then I reminded myself, well, is a human life worth any amount of money? I mean, I'm directly killing somebody at random for all of this. That's not right. It's not. But then I thought, well, I could use this money to help my family. And why stop there? I mean, I can use this money to donate to charity. Hell, I don't even have to donate to charity. I could create my own charity, so that way I know it's trustworthy. I could inject myself into politics for all the right reasons and genuinely change the world in a way I think is good. I can make the new SpaceX and try to pioneer space exploration or help the pollution crisis and the climate crisis. I could help so many people with that type of money. I mean, it's only one random person dying. I don't know them. It could be a criminal. It could be a murderer. It could be an old person that doesn't really have very long left. It could also be some random kid. It could also be a single mother of 3. A surgeon in the middle of a life-saving surgery. Or a pilot during landing. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just random. It's just one person. We're all gonna die eventually anyway. Use this money to help other people. But I mean, I never did anything, I don't think, that wrong in my life. I mean, maybe I kind of deserve that money. I was given this opportunity for a reason, ultimately. No matter what justification I tried, that went through my mind when just vividly imagining this as a completely real scenario, as if I was making that choice right then and right there, I realized that my mind was already made. No matter what, I was gonna press that button. The first thing that went through my mind when imagining this money was my own personal benefit. I mean, money is power. It's the ability to do almost whatever the hell you want. I mean, at the push of a button, I'm more powerful than anyone watching this video. I'm more powerful than anyone around me. By proxy, I'm the most important. Does that sound familiar? What I was saying earlier about slavery? They had power over slaves. And the more slaves you had, the more power you had, the more you were recognized. Us humans sometimes grapple over things that make us feel more powerful than somebody else. And I think an easy scapegoat for all of those feelings of not feeling powerful back then was to own slaves. But then I thought, just some random person. Could be a criminal. Could be anybody. I don't know who it is. Just one. Think how much I could help in numbers with this money. The numbers, the one death is just massively outweighed by the millions, hundreds of thousands, millions of lives I could make better. And it seems to me like I was dehumanizing that one person that would die. You can unfortunately motivate the in-group based off of sheer hatred and even fear. You can convince them to do things that maybe even they would think is too far. I mean, I was completely trying to bypass the fact that that was a human life that I'm thinking in my mind I would trade for $100 million. I mean, it's not even paper from trees anymore. It's digits on a screen. There's no justifying that. I use that same logic to justify the choice I would have made in that situation. It's the same thing that I shit on these mega millionaires and billionaires like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. Because I mean, ultimately, they've stepped and squished people to get to where they've got. That's undeniable, and that's something that I will always keep in the back of my mind whenever I see any sort of multi-millionaire, billionaire. And that's the reason I am not a very big fan of those type of people. But yeah, I was disappointed to see that same thing within myself. And lastly came my for the greater good excuse. It was my, okay, sure, maybe life is dying, maybe someone's gonna die, but I'm doing the right thing. I can help. I can do all these wonderful things with $100 million because, I mean, obviously no one else could do it. I mean, it's me. I mean, it's me we're talking about. Come on. I'm obviously the moral beacon of humanity and should be trusted with literally all the money. Make them feel like a hero by taking these people out. These not even people. These horrible, wretched witches out. You are saving your family and your town, and instill the idea that they're doing the right thing. And so basically what I'm trying to say is all these questions on how people could do such atrocious things in their lives and just keep doing them and even feel good about it, it just consumes me. How people get there. And when I was thinking of this question, I just don't know, I can't remember how it popped in my head, but I was thinking of this question, and based on my answer, it something like that just clicked. I realized that I used all the justifications that have been used throughout history to attempt to justify atrocities. And so I'll ask you one last time. Are you pressing that button? Be honest with yourself. And I think realistically, the answer for most of you is yes.
I might slide up to your block with intelligence. I'm a genius with the Glock, there's some relevance. Took his chain, took his rocks, took his sediments. There's no cap inside my speech, no impediment.